You know, it's interesting. Some of the most viral content that we've done in like the last several months is just problems with men. Like we did this video. It's like the problems of boys and men with the author Richard Reeves. He was actually fantastic. He wrote a great book on this.
You'd have a great conversation with him, actually.
Viral, and he talks a lot. He's like, look, I understand. He's like, I'm not an anti-feminist. He's like, what we are talking about though is in the last 2 decades we've had a crisis amongst young men, and something we talk about on the show is what Krystal's getting at with the decline of the American dream, like the idea that you were going to do better than your parents, and that's just not really true anymore. Even if you went to school and you have a shit ton of student debt, even if you're working class in terms of wage growth, upward mobility, people who are graduating from high school who are men and working class having much more trouble actually finding a mate. So there's a big college imbalance right now where a lot of men are dropping out of college. They no longer feel accepted, and you're reaching almost 60-40 splits of women and men in college, especially who are graduating. A lot of women who have college degrees don't actually want to date somebody who doesn't have a college degree. And so there's this big imbalance in the dating market. And then also amongst single men, you see a big decline in lifetime wages. But what really makes me really sad is the drug overdose numbers, and they die much earlier. They're much less likely to exercise, much less likely to fulfill a stronger life. And that's what gets to the charlatanism of like being able to buy into the charlatan, signing up for some MLM scheme that you might see online, buying crypto. By the way, you're looking at a crypto victim. I lost $5,000 on BlockFi, got fucked out by that.
There's a lot of men that feel by their very existence that they're bad.
Yeah. It's a big cultural
problem. This thought of toxic masculinity and the things that they're attracted to, they think they've been told are stupid, or that they're evil, or there's a thing about being a man in this world today that I think we have to look at all human beings as just human beings.
Yeah.
And you can't help that you were born a man, and you can't help the things that you enjoy. Like if you enjoy going to football games, you enjoy getting loud with your friends. This idea of toxic masculinity, it's like, yeah, there's toxic aspects of men, and that's real. That's a reality of being a male human being. If you look at the history of war, it's all started by men. Men did all of it. Men do all the raping. I had this guy on the podcast once. It was hilarious. He goes, actually, statistically speaking, men get raped more than women do. I go, yeah, by other men, you fucking idiot. I go, it's not packs of cheerleaders raping football players. The fuck is wrong with you? The problem is 100% men. That's the problem with manosphere, is that there's grifters in the manosphere that aren't actual real men.
Yes.
And by real men, I mean they don't have resolve. If you took them on a hike, they would get tired. They would sit down. You would have to leave them behind. They're not. The word tough is a word, but it's like oh, you're tough. No, mental toughness is fucking important. It's a really important quality of life, and it's been diminished to this thing that's like a part of toxic masculinity ideology. And
and this is where, the Andrew Tates of the world come in and they perform this just caricaturish, ridiculous, masculine, whatever they're doing. And then also maybe is a sex trafficker. We'll find out. We'll see what happens there. But it again speaks to the fact there used to be a really clear sort of cultural narrative, right or wrong, about what it was to be a man. And at the core of that was being a provider, right? For women, it was like, it was other things, being like a mother and a nurturer and like the way you look. For men, it's like about the wallet, right?
Yeah.
The pocketbook. And then, so I think when we've had an assault on the middle class, on the working class, where it becomes so much harder to be able to fulfill that cultural narrative of what it is supposed to be a man. I think that's been, this is as a woman, but, from my external perspective, I think that's been really, really devastating. And I don't want to pretend also, though, like it's like only young men who are getting scammed right now. Everybody has there's, sorry, wasn't it? LuLaRoe.
Yeah.
And there's a great series about this MLM multi-level marketing scheme of these fucking ugly leggings that a bunch
things are hideous,
of Midwestern housewives, for some reason, loved these things. There they are. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
They
First of all,
hideous.
You and I are on the wrong page here because I think those are kind of fly. I like them. That's some shit. If my wife wore, I'd be like, I like those.
Yeah,
So would you let your wife buy them off Facebook Live from
yeah.
another Mormon
So,
lady?
and here's-
100%. I don't have any say over what she buys. That's how we work.
Get those for your
That's how
wife
we
for her
get along.
birthday and
I
see how
don't-
she feels about it.
I'm a non-criticizer of my wife's behavior.
That's a good idea.